Hello, everyone. It's Mackenzie with the She's Unlimited podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, a former principal and a real estate agent, Miss Bronchelle Walters. Hello, Miss Bronchelle.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm actually excited to join you today on a podcast.
That's good. So, I want to talk about career. So, what got you interested in education and being a principal?
First, I'd like to say thanks for having me.
Of course, thank you for coming.
Yeah, I'm excited to join you and see you doing such great things, and especially creating this platform for to share my experiences and hopefully influence someone along the way. As far as principalship, I knew pretty early on in my education career that I wanted to explore principalship. I think every young woman who's gone through the public school system has had at least one teacher who's had a lasting impact on them. And so I had several of those throughout my academic career. One being a middle school counselor who just kind of took me under her wings and made sure I had all of the resources that I needed to be successful. Another was a fifth grade teacher who just saw greatness in me academically and nominated me for some great opportunities that I was able to participate in on the state level, on the local level, and just really gave me the opportunity to shine academically. Oftentimes in education, students are overlooked for various reasons and aren't given the opportunity to show their excellence on a large stage. And I was fortunate enough to have those opportunities afforded to me at a very early age. And so, because of those experiences, I decided to explore education. Actually, in college, I became a tutor. I worked at three different schools throughout the city of Houston as a tutor. And so, those were opportunities for me to just test it out and see if that's something that I wanted to do long term. So that was really, what influenced my decision to go on and become an educator was the experiences that I had throughout my education career.
That's really nice. I have had a lot of teachers who have impacted me, even just this year alone. It's my last year. I'm a senior, and I have a couple of teachers who I'm like, wow, you guys really care about your students, and it encourages you to do better.
It definitely does. It's always good to hear those stories. I still keep in contact with some of my students from years ago. I started teaching very young, and so some of my students are nurses, pastors of churches, parents, and so they come back every year, and I run into them throughout the city. It's always good to hear the great things that are going on in their lives.
That's so cool. So, what made your transition into real estate? How do you know that this was something that you could succeed in and something that would be your new passion?
Well, I knew I wanted to pursue education originally, but I always knew that I wasn't going to retire in education. Just because from a financial standpoint, there were some goals that I had, and it was going to be difficult for me to achieve them as an educator. And some of those goals included me wanting to purchase investment properties and me wanting to travel the world. And so, on an educator's salary, it is possible, but it's a little more difficult, and you have to live on a very tight budget in order to do so. And so, I decided to transition. I decided to originally pursue my passion in education, but then also I came up with a game plan on when I would actually exit from education. And so I gave myself just a 20-year run at education. I completed 20 years, and then I began my transition to the second part of my career, which is now real estate. And hopefully I'll retire as a real estate agent and investor.
That's really cool. So, I was wondering, what are some misconceptions about real estate that some people have that you might want to debunk?
There's quite a few, but one of the main misconceptions is just the social media presence of many real estate agents. Um, I think that a lot of the glitz and glam is showcased. but the difficult side of it when deals fall through, or you have clients that are out of the country, or clients that may have a language barrier, or you're working on a lower budget project that isn't glamorous. It may be, a home that's preparing for foreclosure, and it's not an easy transaction. And so sometimes it can be very stressful. It's not always glitz and glam. A lot of agents make it look very easy and simple online, and sometimes over glorified. And so I think that would be one of the main misconceptions that I'd like to debunk, is that it is hard work. It does have its, highs, but it definitely has its lows as well.
Yes, I feel like it does look very fun and very glamorized, especially from the TV shows. I don't know if you've ever seen like Selling Sunset and all of those shows. They make it look like so much fun, but it definitely can be hard. I see how that career could be difficult.
Yeah, definitely. The reality shows and some of the social media posts, and it is a rewarding career because it's flexible. You get
Hmm.
to establish your schedule, you get to travel and do your job at the same time. I mean, you have more flexibility, and it is financially rewarding, but you do have to hustle. I mean, you have to hustle to build your clientele. And there's often times where, some of your transactions just don't make it to the finish line. And that's always a bummer when you've done so much work and you've put so much effort into working with a client, and it doesn't make it to the finish line and you don't get paid. And
Yeah.
so it's not a situation where you get paid every 2 weeks. You only get paid if you make it to the finish line. And that's the part that many agents don't talk about often enough.
Yeah. So, how do you build your clientele? You don't have to give all of your secrets away, but just some pointers on how to get people to choose you.
So you do have to, maintain yourself, maintain your presence, always be approachable, never meet a stranger, be willing to have, uncomfortable conversations. Um, Walk around as if you're your own billboard. You're establishing your brand, and you're pitching your elevator speech every person that you come in contact with. Um, I pride myself on not being super salesy. I don't sit down with the intentions of selling a home to someone. I genuinely connect with them, and if we're a match, we're a match. And if I can help them, I help them. But I just say, just establish your brand very, very early on. I try not to be too gimmicky and salesy, and just, connect with people in a genuine way and see how I can assist them.
Okay. So, for being a principal and a real estate agent, can you give a 30-second spiel about what you should do in order to reach these goals for anybody else watching, what you did, and what you suggest to do?
Yeah. So I knew that I was going to be transitioned. I gave myself a 5-year mark. So I said within the next 5 years, I'm going to be transitioning from education. So at that point, I started to build my pipeline. What I mean by build my pipeline is those that I had within my circle of influence. If I could help them, or if I knew that they had the goal of becoming a homeowner, I simply started to educate them and have conversations with them and just build them into my database and stay connected with them. I came up with my exit plan. I began to save significantly. I mean, I literally lived off of a third of my income to be able to attain that goal of transitioning. By doing that, establishing, that pipeline and living off of less of my income, I was then able to begin purchasing the investment properties before exiting education. And that was a huge benefit for me. Once I started to do that, then of course I started, having residual income that was coming in. And that was always, a great thing, exciting thing, and reassuring that I was making the right decision as I prepared to transition. I also, made sure that those skills that I had as a principal, I carried them over into real estate. So all of those soft skills, such as communication, customer service, oral and written communication, professionalism, I carried all of those soft skills over to real estate. So it wasn't a difficult transition for me. The most difficult thing I would say was coming up with a plan and then saving, making sure that
Mm.
the savings was intact.
Okay. What skills do you think you have in your personal life that really helped you in either one of your careers?
I'd say in my personal life, again, just my overall demeanor. I
Mm-hmm.
tend to attract uh, positive individuals, maintain quality relationships. And I come from a very large family. So I come from a family of 5 sisters. I grew up in the home with my grandparents and my parents. And so I'm accustomed to being in a large, thriving environment where things are moving pretty quickly. And so by
Yeah.
me being able to adapt in those environments in my personal life, it's spilled over into my career because a lot of people would say, well, how do you do it all? And I didn't have an answer of how I did it all. I just knew it kind of came natural to me and that it didn't come across as stressful. Whereas for the average person, they may find juggling 2 careers as being stressful or overwhelming. And I can honestly say I was never overwhelmed. Did it become cumbersome at times? Yes, but I was never overwhelmed by trying to manage both.
Yeah, when you love it, it doesn't feel like work ever. But what do you, whenever you were in college, I know that you went to the University of Houston. I know you said you like to travel. So do you ever get to experience any study abroad opportunities?
I enjoyed my experience at the University of Houston. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do the study abroad program, but one of my siblings was able to do the study abroad program in multiple countries, 2 South American countries, and then one African country. And she was able to just have a really rich experience. That's one of my biggest regrets in college is not taking advantage of the study abroad opportunities. If I could go back and do it all over again, I definitely would put a lot more focus on that early on in my college career.
Okay. Well, what advice would you give to any girls that are aspiring principals, educators, or real estate agents?
I would say at this point, around the age of 18, of course, you think you know what you want to do, but that may change a few times. I originally thought I was going to go into the medical field. Once I got to college, I realized that my passion was with education. Um, what I did is I continued to just build my network. I started reaching out to different individuals who I looked up to and would like to be mentors. So I sought mentorship very early on, and since then I've maintained various mentors throughout my education and personal life. And so I would say make sure that at every stage of your life you have a quality mentor who's in alignment with some of your personal and professional goals.
That's good. So, for our next segment, it's called Advice for the Girls. So, it's just some questions that any girls might have if they need advice about something or just a different perspective. So, the first question is, how do you stay confident when things don't align with your vision?
So remind ourselves that it's okay to be disappointed, right? Like those emotions, they're all natural. So don't dismiss a natural emotion, but um, determine how you're going to respond to those natural emotions. So if I'm sad, I'm going to seek guidance or support, or I'm going to take a moment to myself. If I'm angry, I'm going to have strategies for how to decompress or how to calm down. If things don't go my way, this is how I want to respond, or this is the result that I want to have. So never suppress the emotion itself. Just come up with a plan or a strategy for how you're going to work through those natural emotions. Don't suppress them, work through them in a very healthy way. And one thing that I would say is always avoid a toxic alternative. So if it's an individual, an environment, drugs, alcohol, never substitute a natural emotion for a toxic behavior. So find something that's going to be positive, that's going to be an outlet for you, whether it's a mentor, a family member, exercising, watching a funny movie, whatever it is, just make sure that it's a positive substitute for that natural emotion that you're feeling or experiencing.
Yeah, that's good. I feel like whenever you seek out negative solutions, it always comes back to haunt you. It never turns out good in the end. And you might be sad today, but you're going to be even more sad the next day and the next day because you didn't actually handle it. You just suppressed it.
Definitely agree.
Yep. What keeps you driven during hardships?
Yeah. So again, it's one of those things that's inevitable. I mean, you're going to go through highs and lows and difficult points throughout not just your educational career, but in your personal life. Um, have setting, some non-negotiables for yourself, like saying failure is not an option, giving up is not an option, um, going back to that person is not an option. Like setting just some non-negotiables of what you won't allow to be an option in your life is very, very important.
Yes. And for the last question, what advice do you have for maintaining strong friendships while pursuing a busy career or a busy educational journey?
Yeah. So again, it goes back to building your brand, and protecting your brand at all costs. And so making sure that the individuals that you do surround yourself with reflect just your overall goal and mission for your brand. Ensuring that the people that you surround yourself with actually build you up, they pour into you just as you should pour into them. Every relationship should be a two-way street. And so the moment that it feels overwhelming, cumbersome, or like you're doing most of the work, it's very important to communicate that or to, refine your circle. Um, Female relationships have been critical for me throughout my whole life. Family members, sisters, colleagues. Um, it's just always been, women have always been there in my circle building me up. And so I've continued to pour into them as well. That's one of the reasons why I was so excited to participate in the podcast, because I love that it's pouring into our youth as they prepare for the real world. So, congratulations on this amazing podcast that you have going on. It's just going to catapult you into the next stage of your career. I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So, do you have any last minute advice for any girls, or do you have any upcoming events or anything that you have coming up that you would like to share with the viewers?
Yeah, I do. One, I would like to say that just a reminder that you're in the driver's seat of your life moving forward. Yes, you have your family. Yes, you have your teachers, but you are the one that makes the ultimate decision of what direction that you will go moving forward. One of the most important things that I've prided myself on as I transitioned from my education career in college, I have always exercised my civic duty to vote. There's a lot of decisions that are made on our behalf at the government level, local, and national. And so it's just really important for you to exercise your civic duty and always, always show up at the polls. So don't miss out. This November is very important for your voice to be heard if you're 18 years old.
Yep, yes. Everybody go and vote. I voted for the first time the other day, so that was pretty exciting. But I encourage everybody else to do the same as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming on to this episode. I'm so excited for the upcoming episodes, and I hope you have an amazing day.
Likewise. Thank you again.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah.